So I wanted to make a short video about how to read a service program. When you go on a field study, maybe you've never seen a program before. Here's an example of Corpus Christi. A lot of churches do not use programs. They'll use a hymnal, and they'll have a board at the front with the numbers of the hymnal, and you just pick up the hymnal and you look for the number. But in most of the places that I'm sending you to, they either use a program or a combination of a program and a hymnal or two. So let's take a look at how to read a program. So for this, at the very top, you'll see something very important. This tells you where we are in the church year. So this is the 26th Sunday in Ordinary Time. And then if you look at the structure of the program, on the left side you have the part of the Mass listed there. And then on the right side you have information like the composer or the tune of the hymn or the mode of the psalm. And then in the center section, you have kind of the important particular information for each listing, either the title or the text, or even the hymnal number, where to find that. So let's take a look into some of the detail. Let's take a look at the introit. So here you have the part of the Mass on the left, the introit, and then on the right you have mode 3. Obviously this is not the composer. Hopefully you realize that, but I have had students who have credited mode 3 with composing things. But the mode 3 refers to, or mode, whatever kind of mode that is, would refer to the mode it is in Gregorian chant. Because plain song or plain chant has 8 different modes. So here they're indicating which mode it's being sung in. Where do you find the title? So if you look just above this at prelude, here you'll notice it's got the part of the Mass, the prelude, and then the title, Chaconne, and then on the far right side you have the composer, Georg Muffat. So in that sense, it is exactly what you should write down, like who wrote the prelude. And it's usually, in this case, it's an organ piece. Well, that was Georg Muffat, and the title of the piece is Chaconne. Now, going back to the introit, you'll see there's no title for this. So where do we find the title? Well, the title actually comes from the first words of the introit. So the title of this chant would be referred to as Omnia Quae Fecisti Nobis. More on that just a little bit later. Let's take a look at an ordinary of the Mass. So let's take a look at the Kyrie. Here you can see listed the part of the Mass, the Kyrie, on the left side. And then in the center you have Missa Spem in Alium. That is the title of the Mass from which it comes. And then if you look on the far right side, you've got Giovanni Pierluigi da Palestrina. So if you're paying attention in class, you'll notice that Palestrina is a very, very important composer for this class on liturgical music. Very, very important. So when you notice his name, you'll really want to pay attention. So how would you note this? If I asked you the question, what were the ordinaries of the Mass? You would say the ordinary for the Kyrie came from the Missa Spem in Alium, and it was written by Palestrina. Look just below that at the Gloria. So if I said, well, what was the Gloria from? And you would say, well, that is from Healy Willen's composition, Mass in Honor of St. Mary Magdalene. And on this line in the Gloria, you'll notice that it has number 187. So that refers to a hymnal at that particular church. And if you wanted to participate and look at the music, you would turn to number 187, and you would see the music for Mass in Honor of St. Mary Magdalene. It would be the Gloria, and the composer is Healy Willen. Let's go a little bit more into detail with another part of the Mass. This is from the same program. And I want to take a look at the Motet. So on the left side, you'll see where it says Motet. It's not really a part of the Mass, but let's go with that, okay? And then on the far right side, you'll see William Byrd. Again, another very important composer for our class. He's the last great Catholic composer from England, William Byrd. And you'll notice here there is no title. But if you look below, we've got an important thing here. We've got the text in Latin on the left column and a translation into English on the right column. So you'll be able to follow along. You would know what this is about. You would know what the text is being sung. Where's the title of this composition? It's very similar to Gregorian chant, so it's taken from the first couple of words. This piece would be known as Ave Verum Corpus by William Byrd, and it was the motet. And in this Mass, you'll notice it was sung right after the Creed. So this is probably during the offertory, the preparation of the gifts. All right, let's take a look at another church that you're going to go to. This is St. Francis of Assisi. This is the one on 31st Street. And again, here at the very top of the program, you will notice where it says Second Sunday in Ordinary Time. This gives you a sense of where we are in the church's year. And then, similar to Corpus Christi, on the left side, you have the part of the Mass, the gathering song. This is also known as the introit or the entrance chant. And then on the right side, you have the title of the piece. This is slightly different from Corpus Christi, but here you have the title of the piece above. All are welcome in this place. And then just below that, you have the composer's name. And then in the center section, you have the refrain. This is the part that the people are expected to sing on. So they haven't given us all of the music, just the part that the people would be expected to sing on. Okay, that's the music for that. And finally, in this short video, I just want to point out to you a very important part of the Mass. So when you go to these field studies, when you're watching these field studies, you really want to pay attention to the gospel. So for this particular program, many of the programs will just list gospel, the part of the Mass, and then the pericope, or the section of the Bible that it's from. In this instance, it's from the Gospel of John. It's the first chapter, and it's the 29th through 34th verses. Okay? The priest or deacon or bishop will read the gospel, right? And will then usually preach on that. And that's, generally speaking, a lot of the music that you will hear at a particular Mass will be inspired by the reading from the gospel. So it's very important to take note of what that is. And here at St. Francis, you'll notice they actually give you an important line from the gospel. Behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. So this is kind of like at St. Francis of Assisi, they'll give you the most important line from the gospel. Sometimes that might be preached on, other times it might not be. But they also give you a nice little clip art, which indicates kind of an illustration of that line, where you have John the Baptist at the bottom pointing up to that faraway figure of Christ. So this is kind of an illustration of when Jesus came to the River Jordan and John said, "Behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world." So anyway, that gives you a little understanding about how to read a program when you go on the field studies. All right.